What's up, guys? I'm AUSSIE Metalhead. I'm doing 150 class comments by the end of the year. I'm also doing a bunch of Patreon requests, and thankfully, someone has requested more Ethel Cain on the Patreon because I absolutely love The Preacher's Daughter and Will Be Tucker. If you've seen those videos, you know I absolutely adore those. I also recently went to Ethel Cain's concert, which was absolutely amazing. There's only one song there that I hadn't heard before, which is Crush, and we will, I'm assuming, get to it on Inbred because I'm assuming someone will request it at some point. That song was quite amazing, but I also don't remember most of it because of how my memory works. But I'm excited to get to it, and I'm also excited to get to this one. It's interesting to me because this one was requested, but not Carpetbed, when technically Carpetbed is the debut EP, it seems. But I'm assuming this one is spiritually the debut EP. And I'm curious to delve into like more of this world because F. Gaines is an incredible storyteller. I actually think it's quite cool. It being called Golden Age, I'm assuming it's going to delve into Ethel Cain's like upbringing, and all that sort of stuff, and maybe like the rose tinted glasses that she had on like American Teenager, that sort of thing. So I'm curious to see how that transpires. But yeah, let's jump into it. I'm sorry to pause it so quickly, but I'm trying to find narratively where this places, because the starting here saying softly streets like glowing, all that thing, trying on each dress I bought for you instantly makes me think her being a bit older, so not necessarily how she's acting regarding like her father and the trauma based there. Dress I bought for you, that instantly makes me think of like a house in Nebraska. But if my understanding is, I'm pretty sure House in Nebraska was after the Sunday morning, which would have been the her raising, going to church, that sort of thing. So I think this is harkening back to like a time period before Willoughby Tucker, but I don't know who it is for because she seems to be old enough to buying dresses with her own money. And then also, do I look pretty when I ask you to hit me? I find it interesting because timeline wise, right, we have the on like Preacher's Daughter, if we go through that narrative sort of thing, we have her basically American Teenager, like her golden goose sort of upbringing of like what she thought the world was going to be like, what it was sold to her for, this like conservative Christian patriarchal sort of landscape. And then you had, it goes into a house in Nebraska, I think. Yeah, I got that correct. I just looked it up. And this doesn't seem like it would be Willoughby Tucker, because like, do I look pretty when I ask you to hit me? I don't. The way that Willoughby Tucker is spoken about doesn't seem to be that's he seems like to be the good one. And it makes me wonder, it's like, are we in between American Teenager and a house in Nebraska when it comes to like chronological in the story? Because that would be interesting. That'd be actually quite interesting. Because we don't know much between that. We just know first love and torturous upbringing, and then torturous ending in and multiple ways that they get to that point. But yeah, I'm curious. Mm. I'm not opposed to also some retconning happening. Like, this could be Willoughby Tucker, that's just retcon later. It's so interesting seeing the progression sonically from like what Ethel Cain did here to later. Because this is a debut EP, it's harder for me to be able to look into all the Sonic stuff with the same level of, I guess, scrupulation that I did with A Preacher's Daughter and Will Be Tucker, because all of those, the instrumentals deliberately flavor the sound, and I don't know if this is as well thought out as those two tracks, those two albums, because they're very dense, and this is just an EP, right? So I don't know, like, the sound, anyway, the instrumentals here invoke to me are very similar to the sort of romantic sort of outlook that Ethel has on like love and stuff like that, and then tying it back with Sunday morning religious upbringing. And there is like some connections to me between like there is this tying of like religiosity but to love. So like you have with religiosity like this faith into a higher power that everything will be okay because of the afterlife, and then you also Ethel Cain throughout her entire life has this blind devotion to love, even to the point even if it's like red flags to the point of her demise. And there is like this intertwining with those two things, because sonically it sounds like more in line with something like A House in Nebraska, instead of like the darker undertones of like Family Tree. So as much as it is harkening back to the past here, if there is like consistent sonic storylines through all of the projects, then I don't necessarily think this is talking about the trauma of as much, more so this outlook of like the juxtaposition between love and faith being very intertwined, where like Ethel Cain kind of drops the faith to for a grander power into love, to try and reach salvation. The reason I think that is because I don't actually know who she's talking to. I don't know if she's talking to a like father here, or if she's talking to another like love interest. But like, I'm no different from you, I'm no different from you. When I go home at night, I think about the ways of getting out, that sort of thing. That I'm no different to you, and distinctly with like Sunday morning being church going, all that sort of stuff. I don't think that's necessarily flippant. I think that's, to me, that sort of makes sense. Also, when I'm talking about sonically speaking here, I find this track this EP already very interesting to me, because I think the sound she improves upon in Preacher's Daughter and Willoughby Tucker, but I'm getting remnants of still the same level of depth of storytelling, which just makes it very hard for me to rate. Because if you haven't watched one of my videos before, I do ratings on the side. These are my first listens. I listen to these projects multiple times over before I post the ratings to my Discord, where you can chat to me about the ratings, and I also post them to my Album of the Year, which is the music rating website I use because they don't hate women like rating music, or as much. And Album of the Year I've started this channel about a year and a bit ago, and I listened to maybe 10 albums my entire life, and then over the course of this year I've listened to about 1,200 albums. And yeah, you can find all my ratings and reviews there. My average rating is a 6 out of 10. I still think that's because I'm listening to more good music than bad, because I'm listening mostly Patreon requested albums, and Patreon requested albums are by amazing Ethel Cain fans that are sending me projects like this, which I'm going to enjoy more than like an ECon project or some shit, right? So yeah, that's the reason why I think it's slightly high, because to me, if something's a 5 out of 10, it means it's average, and then 5.1 is above average, even if it's slightly above average. In saying all of that, I think this is, so far, I would say like a 6.5. Like, I love the storytelling of it. Sonically speaking, the progression of Ethel and how she's gotten better as like a making music is kind of interesting, because a lot of like the slight aspects sonically to Preacher's Daughter that I don't think is like genuinely perfect, and the only reason I don't think it's perfect is because I've heard Willoughby Tucker, and every single note, every single texture of that production is flawless to me. Where like on American Teenage, there's like slight high notes that have like a bit of like this cracking sheen to it, which could be a purposeful addition, but I think this track has a lot of similarities to that. In saying that, I want to also reiterate, Preacher's Daughter is one of my favorite albums of all time. I don't know if this will be out at the time I finish my top 50 albums of all time, which I'm going to update every year. But fuck it, spoiler. Hopefully I have it out by then. Preacher's Daughter is like top 5. So as much as I'm giving slight criticisms to some sound stuff on like American Teenager, overall, like the story is so compelling that it's like the most storytelling and narrative dense project I've ever fucking had. So except maybe like a Kendrick Lamar album. So I absolutely adore that project. This one just feels like it has a lot of bit of like the cracks that I had on that I thought on Preacher's Daughter on this sonically, but that doesn't really matter to me too much because I really just like getting into the weeds of this world that Ethel's built. So yeah, I still think it's like pretty decent and good. So let's keep it going. It's like great storytelling, but sonically a bit less. That's why it's 6.5 for me. Mm. Mm. I really like the burning of the texture from there. I really like this. I feel like it's very similar to the later albums where it's able to sit with the atmosphere of the production a lot, and I really like it. Oh, this is so different, Sonic like that. I like it a lot. It's like a lot more dreamy. Hmm. I really like this one. I really like this. Um, the sounds, the story, everything about it, I absolutely adore this track. I'm sorry if this is going to be a long video because for whatever reason with Ethel Cain, I'm wanting to talk about every single aspect. Um, that I absolutely adore, so I might go through some of the lyrics. But I would say this is at least an 8.5, 9. I'll give it a 9 for now. I loved the sound, the textures, the production with like the I don't know if it's like a fire, wood, that sort of thing. Just think campfire sort of sounds. The vocals are really nice, and I also think it's an interesting flair because you haven't necessarily heard it too much. It's like a bit of like the electronic sort of stuff in the back. That was cool because I don't haven't heard any Ethel that touches on that as much. Um, and it added like a unique way where like a lot of the songs, like this song, I can instantly pick out. Like if someone said Casings, I would know which one that is now because of just those sort of textures added to it. So it makes it really good for different making it different. There's two ways I think I could take this, and I think because it is the first project, I probably shouldn't be too hung up on the chronological aspects of it, and if there's like every continuity or whatever. I think I should just talk about the emotions that are at play, and how that broadens like Ethel as a character because I really like the emotions here. Like, there's two ways you can. There's like if you factor this into Willoughby Tucker, um, there's a lot of undertones of cheating that are happening here. So I assume that it wouldn't be Willoughby Tucker because from House in Nebraska it says I'm the reason that you left. Granted, that could also be a through line through this. Maybe Willoughby Tucker did cheat or some shit. And don't cry, know that you're mine. Is there something wrong with me? Because being like, it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary if like a house in Nebraska is, talking about like, oh, I'm the reason you left because I'm not good enough. That could be a through line for sure. But if it's about Willoughby Tucker in like and it doesn't ascribe Willoughby Tucker as cheating, you could take it as more so like seeing Willoughby Tucker have another partner later on, and what does she have that I don't, all that sort of stuff, and um this like I love how Ethel explores like patriarchy in a lot of ways when it comes to this, like the amount that Ethel Cain embodies um like the value judgments that society gives women. Like you have to be pretty, you have to be, is she not good enough, is she better at sex, is she doing all this sort of stuff, like this massive like objectification, which was like a massive through line with Preacher's Daughter, that like I felt like that was like the distinct undercurrent throughout that entire album, was how this like conservative patriarchal fucking world that she grew up in with the trauma that was inflicted on her, how that was so instilled within her. It even went with it even like expressed itself after death, like when she's in the afterlife looking down at herself getting fucking eaten. She is still like, am I good enough for you? That absolute adherence to self-sacrifice in a very feminine sort of way, because like men have self-sacrifice through like utility of like having to do a lot of stuff, not caring about your emotions, that sort of thing. But I feel like women have a self-sacrifice of having to put aside their feelings to nurture and that sort of thing. And I feel like Ethel Cain just massively embodies that when it comes to the storytelling of the character. And I really like how that plays. Like the really depressing, is she prettier than me? Is she softer than me? Can she give me what she can't? The things I cry for every night. Is it something in how she moves? Like, what can I do to just be better for you? And if you've seen some of my other reactions, you know that hits decently close home, considering the fact that I do say it a bit. But when it comes to Ethel Cain, on other reactions I don't actually bring it up, but I have BPD, so when for especially from like when I was like 16 to fucking like 22, oh, that was it. Just I was exactly that. Like, how do I make myself the best partner? How do I and getting so like obsessed of like any single slight of like this person likes this other person more. It was always like a hit on my ego or my and bruising it. It's like, what can I do better? Like, why am I not good enough? That sort of thing. This desperation for external validation to like another person that loves you, that you love as well, like the favorite person sort of stuff. I fucking get it. And I also like the explicit nature of like Ethel Cain stuff, like when she has you in her mouth, like lyrics like that are a massive reason why I really enjoy Ethel. Like one of my favorite lyrics that like can't get it just is can never leave my head is from My House in Nebraska, like I would kill myself just to hold you one more time. Like these very explicit lyrics I fucking love. Um, and she's able to convey them in such a brilliant manner. To like it doesn't seem melodramatic to me. It feels like it authentically captures the emotions that I've felt and stuff, instead of using it as like a mask or a shield or whatever. I love it. Also the way that I'm sorry I'm yapping so much, but the way that Casings uses is used here, the name I'm not is like maybe there's like two ways I can think of how the reason that the title of this track is named out the way it does is this memory of this relationship being encased, like it's in her mind and something that she always has to go back to, or casings as in like gunshot casings, and how all of she's been like hit and shot, wounded by this heartbreak, and the only thing left over is the casings, the shell of herself and the shell of the action that took place, like if the bullet hit you, then the bullet hit you, and shell, that sort of thing. And if I am right on that, I really like that. I really like, but I don't know any other way to take it. So let's go on to the next track. I'm yapping way too much. Sorry about that. It's good. It's so interesting seeing features, because Ethel Cain has never had any features on the projects I've listened to. So I'm very curious. I love the sound. This feels more in line with our other albums. Mercy's vocals are so interesting. They're quite unique. Here comes the thing from Casings again. That's interesting. Like motif. The task who tries to learn about something someone they've used this. This definitely has like the type of Ethel vocals that I think I love the most, like very House of Nebraska, like deeper vocals. It feels like it carries so much emotion. I really love the production here. I think it's quite great. I think there's less to talk about when it comes to this track. I have some questions about like the wedding, whose wedding it is, if we know, that sort of thing. But I have less to talk about this because I feel like it covers similar ground to Casings, and I think that's totally fine in an EP, because it's not trying to do like this massive concept, which Will Be Talking Preacher's Daughter did. So I think EPs can have a bit of redundancy, I guess. And especially when the soundscape sounds fucking nice, so I don't mind. But I feel like it touches on very much the same thing, like I love you, the loving someone, wishing that you were still with them. I know I'm going to lose you. This feels like it could be placed in a bit of a different place, like where Casings is placed, potentially, is placed after the fact. This could be placed during it, where like the insecurity there, which also, if that's the case, it makes me wonder why, if this is about the same relationship, why this one isn't placed before Casings, on the album, unless we're doing a backwards, unless we're, actually, that could be it, because we start with we end with Golden Age, and then we start with Sunday Morning. So this could be reverse ordered, which actually makes me a bit interested. I'm gonna keep my eye out for that. But this one chronologically, if it's about the same relationship, is placed before Casings. So interesting. That makes me want to read Casings again, if that is true. But also, Sunday Morning could be like the first track, because the bought dresses made me think of another partner, like something like a Willoughby Tucker, but the darker interpretation is the abuse that she was facing under her father, who puts her, like, obviously sexualizes her, puts her in these, put her in this like romantic role. So it could be like deep-seated trauma that is like manifesting, putting her like as a younger person going to these Sunday morning meetings with a church and stuff like that, and then being placed in this like romantic role but with your father. It could be that. It's so dark that like I didn't necessarily want to flippantly say that that might be the case, but maybe it's not reverse order if that is the case. But yeah, let's go into the next one. Ooh, this is like fuller production wise, I think. I like the guitars. The way that Ethel used the guitars and the music is nice. I think it's very deliberate that gender is focused so stringently. Sorry for not talking, I'm just really engrossed. I feel like this is kind of what I'm wanting from uh prior albums to the two prior APs. It sounds so perfectly in line with like the other albums that I've heard, and I don't know, like it adds so much more to it. Um, I really enjoy this one. I'm going to give it 10 for now. Maybe on a re-listen it'll go down, but um, I'll just sorry for not chatting throughout the entire thing. I was just really into it. I'll go through a bit of it now. The I really appreciate the rage that she it goes on to it ties back into like the explicit language that I spoke about. But I really like the rage that she had like within the music, like the fucking head through the wall. If we go back to Family Tree, there's like this rage brewing of like, oh, I'm going to like overcome this. I'm going to, and then it gets fucking tragic because despite this like veracity that you can see within her that she could like make the changes in her life, or the decisions could be made differently or something like that, she is still a victim of like circumstance, trauma, and stuff like that that leads her down the path of the ending of Preacher's Daughter. And um it's tragic because she's not like a helpless victim in a way. Like there is a strong tie, like you can see in Thoroughfare, there's like these doubts that she has where it's like, oh, this is probably not the best idea. You have in this where like the anger of like, you make me want to put my head through a fucking wall. You have Family Tree, which I can't remember the exact line, but it's something along the lines of like nothing like a woman scorned or something like that, like talking about like this rage that is deep inside, but it seems like she has to bury this for her like faith, not into God, but her faith into love to try and save her, because she's always been, because the saddest tragedy about like Family Tree is the fact that she has all this anger, but it actually doesn't do anything. Like she is still stuck in that same scenario, situation that she was brought in. She's like, nothing like a woman scorned, but then there is no actual retribution. It's like she is so confined within and controlled that she can't like she has these feelings, it wants to burst out, and there's no avenue for her to be able to do it. She just has to run away, which is like the closest she can do um regarding it. it the story of this one is hard because there is a tie where like there is like a very deep and disgusting tie where like Sunday morning this could somehow be tied to the abuse that her father gave, um or because there is like a lot of rape involved in this, and obviously in fact hard times and stuff like that, but it also just could be other guys before she left for a house in Nebraska sort of thing. Um, and it's it's an interesting level of like insight, I guess, because um when I was listening to Preacher's Daughter, the way that I kind of viewed it was you had Family Tree that intro that showcased like the darkness of the like upbringing. You had American Teenager like this, the contrast, stark contrast of like what she wanted, what she thought that this world would entail, and then you have A House in Nebraska, which is like her first real shot at that, like her actual shot at that, because it's her first love, and it feels like Willoughby Tucker is her first love, um, and this now she's in Nebraska, she's no longer in wait what the I looked it up, I think Alabama, like escapes Alabama to Nebraska. Um, and the way that I viewed that was she was able, just one start like act where she was able to escape the traumatic place that she was upbringing, and then she found this like one guy that was like fucking perfect, in Willoughby Tucker, and then that fucks up, and then she gets into a series of relationships after that that get darker and worse and everything. Um, I didn't picture between American Teenager and A House in Nebraska many other relationships. Um, don't know why. Maybe it's like the way that she spoke about Willoughby Tucker was such like first love, rose glasses, very similar to like your first actual true relationship, that I didn't really even think that she had another relationship outside of that. but if the way that she talks about being trapped in this town on Sunday morning and here, makes me think that she did have a lot of relationships. And I want to use relationships very liberally there, because a lot of this just seems like she's just getting fucking abused relentlessly. Yeah. I would love for someone to elucidate like the timeline a bit for me. But either way, I absolutely love the track. I think it sounds fucking immaculate. It sounds exactly like the tracks off of her albums that I enjoy and love. Yeah. Another feature which is interesting. I don't know if this is a weird tie. Does this ever remind you of like early Weekend, like dark R&B sort of stuff? There's like a slight tie, like this is like a southern version of that, in a way. I love so much about this, but I feel like a lot of like the percussion and drums don't have the same level of weight that I would like them to for the moment. But I love so much of the sound that's going on. And also, again, talking more about like that inner rage, I really like the exploration of that, because we only get like glimpses of it in Preacher's Daughter. And I need to re-listen to Willoughby Tucker. I don't think there's much in there that would have that. Because that's more about like the lost love, you know, less so about like the anger of like the prior later relationships. I'm so fucking invested. I can't wait for more projects. I did watch an interview with Ethel Cain. It's weird to say Ethel Cain because Ethel Cain's his character. But I also feel weird saying the first name of the Hayden. It feels weird to like, that feels parasocial to me. So it's very hard. So I'm gonna use Ethel Cain interchangeably to mean the artist and the character. But yeah, I saw an interview with Ethel Cain talking about how there might be a break. How I've also heard that it's going to like Preacher's mother or Preacher's, and something else. Um, However long it takes, I'm still, no matter what, I'm going to be excited for the next one. Um, because I just love the world. I love the story is so vivid. And fuck, it feels so unique too because it makes sense how um like why like how Ethical was a part of like Tumblr and stuff like that, because there feels like very few spaces where you're able to unapologetically get to a point where you can write with this level of explicit nature to it. And like the cutting yourself though, my sheets are stroked with blood. Every single drop of blood is love I don't get back. All this like very heavy-handed imagery, which I don't think is that heavy-handed. I like it a lot. Um, it You just don't get it from other media. I hate to make this comparison because I'm pretty sure every single person would hate the crossover here, but and also for probably a good reason because this person doesn't seem to be a good person. Um, but it reminds me of like Melanie Martinez, where that came from like a Tumblr sort of aesthetic. Like Tumblr people absolutely love Melanie, because it's like one of the only places where you could get really explicit songs about fucking eating disorders and shit like that. Because everything else like alludes to it. There's like this sheen of like PR to it, and I think that's the like that sort of rawness in a way what is like the reason that people were drawn to it. Not to make any statements on or condone any of like the actions of Melanie because obviously she's a bad person, but and then the art is quite different because I think where Ethel Cain here doesn't glorify or romanticize it as much. um I don't think there is any romanticization that happens. You can vaguely say like just how immersive it is could be romanticizing, but I don't think like explicitly there's much romanticization of like mental illness or anything like that. It feels like a very genuine exploration of this anguish and the trauma and all of that sort of stuff, where Melly Martinez kind of dons it a bit more as like an aesthetic, where this doesn't feel as much as an aesthetic. It feels like an actual like realized world in a way. So there's difference within that as well, but the rawness is, if we just isolate that, that feels like there's something that's like, oh, something that comes across with like people that are from Tumblr. That feels like there is a strong tie and link between that, where you just don't find it in other media as much. I'm trying to think of like other artists that delve this hard into it. I haven't listened to like Lana Del Rey shit. A lot of people make connections to Ethel Cain with Lana Del Rey. I don't know if there is much, but I guess is maybe Lana delves into dark shit like that too. But I think the very gothic undertones within the music here does wonders. I very much like it for the rawness and stuff like that. Oh, I will say this is like a 7 because it could have been perfect. You know, like everything about this is really nice. But like the percussion, if it just had a bit more hit. I know that sounds like a very nitpick for how low it is, but like the soundscape is just so nice. The atmosphere is so nice. The singing is so nice. It's just it doesn't go all the way home. Like Head in the Wall has like a kick to it. Like it's front facing production wise, where this is a bit more tepid. And I think it does a disservice to it. But that's about it. As you can know, I'm still, as much as give it a 7, that's still above average and it's a good rating. I still love it. So I love the auditory space of this. Sounds so nice.
Swaying in the lamplight in my mother's white gown, holding out like a doll they've yet to put down. I pour out my tears and just keep wasting the best of my years, like a beauty
The lyricism is fucking incredible.
God, what I wanted, but it's never enough for me, darling. Don't you see? I'm so beautiful and it's wasted on me, because it takes reminds me I hate what this turned out to be.
There is so much depth to the lyrics, and they're so poetic.
My house anymore, 'cause
Good.
it just makes me sad. Letting in the world with every man who brings a word with him each time he falls in my bed. Do you just want my blood and heart? Is that damn hard to love? 'Cause it feels like all I have is still just like.
Oh, I'm gonna pause it here so I can like touch on the emotion. That's hitting me. The like story, like showcasing of her, of like she has always had this trauma, relationship, needing validation through love or men's validation, that sort of thing. And always always getting to the cycle of like being with people that are abusive or predatory, just like kind of head first. Because of the level of like abuse and trauma that she's faced growing up, leading her to think that she's like worthless, that sort of thing. Finding these people as like a way of self-destructing, but then also as a second thing of like self-destructing spiritually, because with every single time that they don't treat her like a normal person should, and like abuse her and stuff like that, it's extra proof that she didn't deserve that love in the first, like she didn't deserve love in the first place, because that's what she was taught through the abuse that she faced when from a father. um i I can understand the place of that, like putting yourself into like the lack of agency that you put yourself into, because you're putting yourself into positions where where it's like, oh, if like the miracle happens, then I'll gladly go on that road. Like if I be end up be with this person that is clearly a red flag, toxic, that sort of thing, and it works out well, that's proof that I needed, the proof that I'm worth salvation through love. But if I don't, and I'm abused, that's proof that I'm lesser and I deserved this and I was unlovable in the first place. And it's like, why can't you love me? Like, why do people always hurt me? um that sort of thing. I can greatly understand that. It's part of don't mean to get deep or like talk about therapize or trauma dump or whatever, but like it's one of the things that like when I was like 16, 17, and fuck thing to do right before I was about to say, but when I was 16 or 17, massively suicidal, and I didn't like the definite nature of like, well, we don't have guns in Australia really, but like that sort of thing. So like every suicide attempt that I would do, it would be like trying to overdose, because it's like if I live, then that's proof that all right, I was meant to live for another day, and if I do die, then it was proof I was meant to die, because there is like a rolling of the dice there, and a definitive nature of it, of like something that 100% will kill me. That feels like it's too much. Like my decisions don't matter that much. Like I feel like I'm already at the mercy of like the environment, circumstance. So it felt weird to have like an action that will definitively end my life, because my actions themselves didn't have the weight or worth anything, so it felt improper to give an action that I would take that much weight to be able to make it definitive like that. So it was always, let's see if the rolling of the dice sort of shit. And it feels like this is just like an example, like a flip side of that, but instead of like killing yourself, which eventually it would end up killing her, but like is rolling the dice of like, do I deserve love or do I deserve abuse? And it's just doing that over and over again, and I can kind of relate to that. I really Ethel, like there's just something about Ethel's art that like is able to touch on so many emotions and so many like experiences, or like make me relate to or think of so many experiences that I've had that like no other art is able to do. It's kind of just fucking crazy. That distortion. Oh. Wait, how old was that though when they made this? That guitar is really nice. Like the way that she's always used guitar is carries so much beautiful tone. I fucking love it. All right. That it feels like everything Ethel does is going to be incredible. Maybe the carpet thing, because it's 4 songs long. It's the first thing released within the Ethel Cain universe thing. That maybe that's not the best, but if this is the first like proper EP, what the fuck? Like this is already such an amazing start. Like if I heard this initially, it's like, oh holy shit, this is already great and you're very promising. I probably wouldn't have expected, oh, you would make 2 albums that are like my favorite albums of all time, but because no one should have that amount of talent. But yeah, holy fuck, it's so good. Like there's just like not really many artists that are able to hit on the same sort of the same emotions that she's able to hit on, with like the level of relatability that I have towards it, I guess, and I guess a lot of other people. But yeah, fucking just incredible. And also, what an amazing live show. Like, I went to a concert, absolutely insane. I waited for fucking like so many hours. I interviewed for the news with some looks maxes. The one that got his hat taken off and was bald, because that happened right outside the Fortune Music Hall, which is where Ethel Cain's concert was, like 2 days later. And then yeah, wild fucking day. And the concert was absolutely incredible. I tried to get my vinyls signed, but she only does signatures for charity. So, yeah, but the entire day was absolutely amazing. The people in line, they're all sick. Like, every person I met was absolutely amazing. Some of them even knew who I was, which is fucking weird. Weird in a good way. Like, because I guess if they know who I am, there's a chance they watch this. I absolutely love, like, I'm so unbelievably grateful for that experience, but it is odd. Like, I'm just a random dude. It's like, also, this channel is basically like 3 months old. That's when I started daily uploading. So, like, within 3 months having that different experience of, like, I just now go outside, and if I go to a concert or something like that, I might be known. I don't know. It's like a blessing, but it's so strange because I'm just a dude. But anyway, yeah, absolutely amazing concert, absolutely amazing project here. Fucking, I love Ethel Cain. If you want me to react to more Ethel Cain stuff, I can only do reactions to stuff that people request. Because I have about 130 people on Patreon now, so I can't do any requests that are outside of that, because I feel guilty whenever if I react to something, even that when I do new releases, which that's always going to be a part of it. I'm going to be able to do new releases alongside Patreon requests. But even when I do new releases, I feel guilty because it's like, you guys are paying, and there's 130 that can spend $5 a month, which is the sub, and you get to request an album that's 50 minutes less, or you get to request an album that's 90 minutes less if you pay $8. Or with you can pick from the classic album list. I have 360 albums that I haven't heard before, that I want to listen to for the first time, and you can pick from them. On the $5 tier, you can pick one. On the $8 tier, you can pick two. And because of that, 130 people have the ability to request an album each month, and I only have a finite amount of time, because if you know how much this recording is just a 30-minute EP, hour, 1 hour, right? And I already do like this sort of full time with my uni, with magazine writing and stuff like that. So I try and do a lot, and you can see how much finite time I have. So I will always be a tiny bit late to some requests now. And that's the reason why if I don't do anything that isn't requested, I feel guilty. So if I just need one person to request it too, it doesn't, you don't need, I'm not like greedy. I don't need like multiple people to request it. But if one person requests inbred, that's going to happen. And I would love for that to happen, because I absolutely adore Ethel Cain, and I can't wait to listen to another project of this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Absolutely love you guys. Your love and appreciation. All the comments on the prior reactions were absolutely heartwarming. And I'm going to try and get to all of them still. I get like 3,000 comments a week, so it's hard for me to get to them, but I really love the Ethel Cain one, so I'm going to get to all of them. And yeah, I just love you guys. Thank you guys so much. Peace.